All right, how's everybody doing today? Has any of y'all watched the Brian Buffini bold predictions thing for 2025? It came out last month. We watched it today. We had a little team meeting. What was the most shocking statistic, Craig, that we heard today?
I think 38 years old was the average age of first-time homebuyers.
38 years old, average age of the first-time home buyer. Is that crazy?
It's just hard to believe.
It's totally different, right? And so I was sort of thinking about, like, if I were going to make a movie and we're going to have somebody like first-time home buyers, we'd cast first-time home buyers, I would be totally off base of what is reality. Because what do you think what would the cast look like of our first-time home buyers?
Young couples with kids.
Yeah, exactly right. It would be like, somebody around 30-ish and they'd have a couple little kids. And that ain't what they are. So it's a changing world in real estate, isn't it? We've had to deal with, what else changed last year? Other than everything. What changed last year? Inventory, but what was a big change that we all had to deal with as real estate agents? The whole way we do commissions and pay and what you can say and what you got to do. Whole different ball game, right? What we're going to talk about today is something that has not changed. Okay, it's a very similar game to what it has always been, and that is how to deal with people. Do you think that's still something that's going on in the real estate business?
Oh, yeah.
So when we changed from being able to disclose buyer compensation to not being able to do that, do you think that changed having to deal with people? Do you think AI has changed having to deal with people? Some of you think it has, but has it really? Can you hear me? Logan, is my microphone? Maybe it's this. So it has not changed. You still have to, at some point, you got to deal with people, right? So one of the things we're going to talk about today, and some of you have taken this before, you know that there's a term called versatility. All right, being versatile. And being versatile is really the bottom line of what we're talking about here. So if you only want to walk away with one thing today, if you want the punchline before the joke, versatility is the punchline. All right, what is versatility? I think it's on here. What is versatility? What does it mean to be versatile?
Being able to adapt.
Somebody read that. So being able to adapt to different kinds of people in different ways in different situations. So what Ben said, being adaptable. Okay, in real estate, how many of you have been in real estate for more than 12 months? All right, have you met some of the weirdest people you ever met in your life? So if you wanted to give somebody some advice and somebody came to you and said, you know what, I really want to meet some real weirdos. I don't want to go to a mental institution. I just want to do something sort of normal. What might you advise them to do? Come to one of our meetings, right? Okay, that's good. Maybe get your real estate license, right? Because that's going to flush them out. So you're going to meet a lot of different people. Are you going to meet some interesting people along the way? Are you going to meet some people that you'd like to, down the line, maybe you're going to become great friends with? Yes or no? Are you going to meet some people, once you get the deal done, you probably are not going to be talking to them a whole lot? Not because you're a slacker, but because it's like oil and water. Is that right? Yet if you want to maximize your potential in this business, does being versatile, does that sort of sound like something you might want to do?
Yeah.
Why?
You'll have more opportunities.
Exactly right. If you only deal with the people that are just naturally like you and that actually are attracted to you and whatever else, if it's just a natural thing every time, then are you dealing with everybody? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So let's see what this other one says, if I can do it. No, that's something else. So what does it mean to be put away yourself? The ability to put away being you so that you can be more like someone else.
Sounds like matching their energy.
Yeah, there's matching their energy. There's a thing called mirroring and matching. And you got to be careful when you go too far down that rabbit hole that you're not mocking or, making fun of somebody. Does in personalities, does like usually attract like? Yeah. I don't really know how magnets work. It really is sort of fascinating how magnets work. Have you ever think about it? but like sometimes if you hold it one way, it sticks, right? And if you turn it the other way, what happens? How does that work? I mean, I don't really get it. What's that?
Polarity.
Describe that.
I was a fifth grade astrobiologist.
Just like I said, I don't have any idea what that's all about. But there's something going on. We all agree, whether you can define the polarity and understand that, there's definitely something going on. You can feel it. And the same way with personalities and being versatile or not being versatile. You can feel it when it ain't working, right? Just like when you turn the magnet over, and then on the other end of it, when you have the magnet the right way, what happens? Sometimes it's great. So in the real estate business, some people you deal with and you encounter, it's just like two peas in a pod. Yeah, you ever have that happen? And then there's a spectrum all the way around where sometimes it's on the opposite end, which is like, I guess you could say oil and water, or like the magnet that's not wanting to come together. You've had that. And then you've had everything in between. So how can we therefore, or let me ask you another question. Would it be better to be on the connected side? Is it always going to be possible to just connect with everybody you meet? So what we got to do is make some little changes to try to see if we can connect with more people. The more people we can connect with, then like what Larry says, we're going to open up more opportunity for us, right? Because if you're just turning people away from the first time you meet them, is that going to give you an opportunity? Probably not. And are people judging, or are they trying to judge you? Like if you meet somebody in an open house, are they judging you? Yeah, and it happens pretty quickly. Judging, and people talk about prejudice, but people are prejudging. They're looking at what you look like, what your car looked like, what the house looks like that you're in, or whatever, looking at the surroundings. They're trying to make judgments to put you in a category that will tell them, is it cool to continue this? Is this somebody I might like, or is this somebody I'm not going to like? So what we're trying to do is learn to be more versatile. Everybody good with that? So we got the quiz. Everybody have the test? Let's just go through it real quick. This is not science. And like I said before, so is what you think of you closer to your real personality? If you wanted to really get what your personality is, would it be better to have a self-evaluation, or would it be better to give this to 20 people that you know and then evaluate and average their answers? Which is going to be more accurate? Mike said it was his, but no. It's going to be, I would think what the world perceives you as is really what you are. And I do think that all of us have an ego and whatever else, and we want to think we are something, and maybe we're dead on with that. Is there a chance that we could be wrong? I think so. It's important when we're talking about versatility. It's important to know where you start, right? Because if you don't know where you're starting, then even if you know what Larry is, if I don't know where I'm starting, then I don't really know what about me that I need to maybe keep in the suitcase and what I need to bring out. You get that? So that's why this is important. So let's just go through this real quick. You can see, so what we're doing here, if others describe you as cooperative, if you're very cooperative, you're hitting A. If you're the least cooperative, you're hitting D, all the way down there. Everybody got that section filled out? The other one is, the only trick to this one is it's backwards. If people think you're very competitive, then you'd hit D. If they think you're not very competitive, then it'd be A. So the scale is swapped. All right, so then you have to add up the columns. All right, see the math part of this? Kevin said, when I got in real estate, they told me there would be no math. That's it. They lied to you. Okay, so then you have your subtotals. Everybody there? If you're not there, just raise your hand. Then you multiply them by 1. Kevin, that was for you. Okay. Then the next one's even a little bit more hard, difficult. You multiply by 2, 3, and 4, so there you go. Then add them up and you get a grand total. All right, does everybody have a grand total written in their box right there at the bottom? Okay, so then we're going to plot that on the graph. This is where it really becomes complicated. Okay, so if your number is not on that graph, it's been nice having you in the class. There's the door. Okay, if it is on the graph, then plot it somewhere on the graph. Everybody got that? All right, so back to the business of doing this. All right, has everybody finished this page? All right, now this page with the little parrot and the bear and all that stuff. Now you got to plot your point. Everybody plot your point on the graph below. Okay? Everybody with me? Okay, and then that sort of shows you where you are. So if your dot is in the top right category, or the top right quadrant, then you're in the bear, the grizzly sort of category. If you're in the left top, you're in the owl, and so on. Everybody get that? Okay. Yes, Kyle.
It says raise your hand if your number is 25 on the first sheet. So I was raising my hand.
Yeah, I think that means that you're really weird.
I can take that.
So if you're 25, that means you got like the most. Were you like the best of everything? Okay. Oh, very middle of the road. Okay, that's even worse. So that just makes it that just makes it hard because you're not really clearly going one way or the other. Okay. Which we could talk for. I mean, when I first took this class, it was a 1-week thing, and we're going to do it in an hour. But there's a whole set of issues along with that. But some people are not as defined. Like would you say? I mean, somebody who's let's just say like President Trump. Does President Trump have a sort of we're not going to say which one he is, but does he have a off-the-chart kind of personality profile, would you think? Yeah. Whatever he is pegging the needle on that, right? And then there's some people, it's sort of hard, they're more in the middle, and that's maybe where you fall. So, that's again why I would imagine if you circulated this out to 10 people, then maybe you get a little bit further away from the middle. Or maybe that's where you are, but that's okay. Everybody's different. And that's something you need to realize as well. There's no two people that are exactly alike. And then this is not like a DNA analysis. This is a pretty dumbed down assessment of what we're trying to do. And we're going to break it down into 4 personality types versus hundreds. Okay, but everybody's there. Everybody's got something. All right, real quick show of hands. How many bears do we have? So if you're not sure, if you can't make up your mind on what you are, then you're not a bear. Okay, so we have 1 bear in the whole room. Okay. How many owls do we have? Raise your hand if you're an owl. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 owls. 1 bear, 9 owls, maybe 10 owls. All right, how about parrots? How many parrots do we have? We have 1 parrot. We're not doing that. We're just going big group. We're not breaking it down to, so if you're just in whatever the big box is, of the 4, yeah, if you're in the top right quadrant. What if you're what? If you're on the line, then, it is what it is. Then that is what, I mean, there are people that are not going to be clearly in anything, or it's certainly in 1. They may be in 2, and that's okay. You just can pick one, and then you can think to yourself, once we learn about these, which one am I? Okay? So we never talked about koalas. How many koalas do we have in here? All right. Very good. Okay. So we still only have 1 bear.
No, I'm a bear. I misunderstood.
Bear. Okay. And Jake is a bear. Okay. All right. Very good. What do you think is the one, in doing this for 15 years, what do you think the one that most people would like to be?
Parrot.
Huh?
Parrot. Wise owl.
Most people sort of want to be bears. Yeah. But there's fewer bears come up after the test, which is weird. All right, let's look at sort of what some of these things are. All right, so the 4 personality types. You got amiable. Which animal you think is amiable? Koala. Why? They're just sweet and cuddly. And really, I don't. How many of you ever like held a koala bear? You have held a koala bear.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Where'd you do that?
I lived in Australia for a year as an exchange student during high school.
There you go.
There you go.
That's all you got to do.
I have a picture of him.
Let's have a moment of silence for our former friend. Well, I guess he's still our friend, but he's going back to Australia. Harry, we miss you, buddy. Do you think Harry's ever held a koala? Yeah. Is Harry amiable? He is pretty amiable. All right. So what else is there about amiable? Tell me about that personality. So we know they're sort of like koala bears. They're cuddly and whatever. What else? What else? When you just talk about people in general, what else would be a trait of amiable?
Kind of go with the flow.
Go with the flow. So when you say likable, is that? And I mean, there's no right or wrong, really. I guess think about this. Do they want you to like them? Do they want you to be happy? Or are they likable? Or maybe both?
They're people that you want to like.
People that you want to like. Okay.
Definitely want to be liked.
Want to be liked. And what about confrontation?
No, I think they're more like they want to make people like them, so they try to, yeah.
People pleasers, but is it about you liking them or is it about them wanting you to be comfortable and okay and you to be happy? That's where I sort of think it is, but all those others are true as well. All right, what else about amiable?
You don't want to take them to a rock concert. You never get in. You never get in. All the amiable people will keep letting everybody go.
Okay, so that's probably a good trait. So you know that when somebody is very courteous and letting other people go in front of them in line and doing things like that.
Playoff game.
There you go. That's good. I've never heard that one before, but I think that is an excellent description. Right? That's right. That's right. Or like when you're trying to walk through a bar in Nashville with your wife. My wife, I think my wife is sort of amiable personality, but she, like I can't. I'm like she's upstairs and I haven't even hardly gotten in the door. You know. So anyway, that's another problem that I got to deal with.
Probably more that purple one in that.
All right. All right. Anything else? What else about amiable people that you think about in real estate too? Like, because ultimately we got to get to that. What is the amiable? What are some amiable traits? Amiable sellers or buyers? What are they doing?
Plot buys, not plot buys.
Yeah. So give me what. So in their character, what do they like to do? What causes that?
Conversation, listening.
Like to connect, and especially they want to hear about who?
The other person.
About you. They want to get to know you. So what are some things when you're dealing with amiable clients? What are some things that you might want to do? What's that? Make sure you've got some time. Does the amiable client want you to be, as they're telling you about, what might they tell you about? Yep. How's this doing? How's that work? Not good. Not good. Should you be ready to open up a little bit? Do you want to keep it all business? No. Probably not. You know, if you feel like you're dealing with somebody who's amiable, be prepared to talk about yourself. Be prepared to talk about them. Be prepared. What if you come to an amiable home and they say, "Hey, what would you like something to drink?" What should you probably do? It's going to make them feel better if what? If you accept that. Would you like a sandwich? I mean, at some point, they probably get to, well, you want to spend the night. At some point, it's worked for Jake a couple times. I'm just saying. But if you if you really are accommodating, then you're coming. It's like almost like you're trying to get it across the moat, right? People are a little bit standoffish. Everybody's a little bit cautious at first, and once you can get in across the moat and into the castle, then you're like in the club, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So we used the terms earlier, mirroring and matching, and trying to be a little bit more like them. So that's what we're trying to do. So if you're not thirsty, and the amiable person, especially if they're just major league pegging it amiable, maybe it's time to get a little thirsty, right? Maybe you're on a diet after the first of the year and you don't want to eat a cookie. But if they made cookies for you to come over to their house and you don't take one, what is that saying? This is not my kind of person, right? You get it? So, okay. Any more fun stuff about amiable people? Let me see. I got a list that I made up here that's got some special notes about amiable. How does loyalty affect that? When on the loyalty scale, where are amiable people? Immediately? When? Once you cross them. Once you're in, you're probably in, right? Are relationships important to them? Are business transactions important to them? Well, I mean, I think yes, but how about a transactional deal versus a relational deal? Buffini talks about trying to make it relational. Is that important in this category? Definitely. Okay, that's probably enough about them. All right, what do you want to do next? Analytical. Who's the analyticals here? How many Al? I guess Al is our analytical character. Okay. So what do you think makes you analytical?
I like everything in order.
Okay. So order, organization, facts. What else? More than facts. What's behind the facts? Data. Is it data or data?
Data.
Is it a data center or is it a data center?
Depends where you're from.
Depends on if you're above Maryland or below Maryland.
Okay, great. Okay, now we know. Okay, so data is important. So organization, did we say that?
Yes.
Is organization, are analytical people always really organized? I think they're not always. They can be. I'll use the example. Todd and I had an appointment at, what's the guy's name? Dolan, Mike? Is he an accountant? Yeah. Dolan? Richard Dolan's an accountant. Been an accountant forever. Great accountant. We went to his office, and literally his office is as big as this room, and all you could do was get to the desk and the two chairs in front of there. There's files everywhere else. Like files.
But I bet you he knew what all of them were.
Exactly right. We hadn't met him. We hadn't been there for like 6 months, and we're like, oh, well, what about you remember 3 years ago we did this? He's like, oh yeah, and he goes right to it, like he's on it. So it's organized to him, but to the outside, is it always going to be organized? Right? Why do you think he needs all those files? Because he might. Right? He might. Okay, and think about other personality types and what they think of all those files. Right? However, to him and to the analytical person, are they important? Essential. Because they might be. Right? What else about analytical? What are some things? They're not called letters, but they're called numbers. Are numbers important to analytical people? So mathematical, what is the thing? You can have a mathematical analysis. Is that important? Statistics, are they important? Graphs, charts, data, evidence. What else? Insight. How about emotion? Logic. Excellent, Larry. Logic. What is logic? That means there's a formula to get to the result you've got. It's not like other personalities where you could get to the end, but it's not you can't recreate it. It's not an actual formula that got you there. Okay? With analytical people, is a formula important? Do the steps all have to line up, add up, and get there? Yes, they do. Okay? What kind of jobs might be, what would tip you off if you had an appointment and you said, well, what do you do for a living? And they said, I'm a... Okay, so just give me just sort of say yes or no. Accountant. Good likelihood. What did you say? Engineer. Yes. Somebody over here said something? Economist. Yes. So like we watched Lawrence Yun today. I would say he's analytical. Okay. What else?
A loan officer.
A loan officer.
Or an underwriter.
Underwriter. Yes or no? I'm going to say it and you tell me yes or no. Underwriter.
Yes.
Loan officer.
No. Maybe.
I don't think you can call it on that because some of them are like, hey, baby, we'll put the slam dunk on that jewel. And then you have the other ones, okay, we need your W-2 and we need this and this and this and all this kind of stuff. So I think you can get there a lot of different ways in that business. So no way to tell that. How about, this would be like the worst job in the world for me. Actuary. That just scares me. I have nightmares like all of a sudden I like wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not an actuary. I mean, I don't even know what that's terrible. But would that be analytical? I mean, there's never been anything but an analytical actuary. Okay, what else in that world?
Rocket science.
Yeah, physicist. A lot of times in your heavy scientific mathematic things, I mean, like if you're a statistician, but see, that's sort of sports. But I mean, people keep stats on other stuff too. Like if you're a DNA statistician or something, maybe then you're analytical. Well, I think we get the point, right? We know the kind of people we're talking about. All right, so we know where to find them. All right. What are the other? What's the next one you want to do? We got the bear, which is called the driver, and we got the parrot, which is expressive. What's the next one you want to do? Let's do the driver. Okay. So the bear. Why do they choose the bear? Okay. Likes to be in control. That's right. When there was a bear in this room, the bear would definitely be in control.
Could be perceived as aggressive.
Yeah. Certainly drivers would not be perceived as passive in most cases. So the degree of aggressiveness could vary, but that's a good point. All right, what else on the driver or the bear?
Results.
Results oriented? Yep. You ever see when Kobayashi, you all know who Kobayashi is, obviously. Everybody knows Kobayashi.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Kobayashi, one of the greatest historical figures in the 20th century, 21st century. Hot dog eating champion before the American great took over. Joey Chestnut, greatest of all time. Maybe the greatest athlete of all time. But Kobayashi was pretty good in his day. They had a special where Kobayashi did an eat-off against a bear, right? And the bear didn't really, I don't know why we're talking about this, but the bear, so like, they're like, on your mark, get set, go. And Kobayashi was the first one to dunk it in the water and do all that kind of stuff. So he's doing his thing and he's mashing the dogs and the bear's like going, looking through they had like super thick bulletproof glass and all this stuff to keep the bear from eating Kobayashi. And then bear just like goes, and just gets it done. And no technique, just ate the dogs all at once. And so that's sort of like the driver. I mean, the driver is, let's get to the point. Let's get to the results, right? Just like the bear in the eating contest. What else about driver? What else do you think driver's going to do? Decision maker. So a lot of times you got to be careful when somebody's in a decision-making position, people sometimes assume they're always a driver, which is not the case. So somebody who's the president of a major corporation, maybe you assume that that's their personality type, that's their job, that may not be their personality type. You see the difference? So you have to be careful not to, if somebody says, well, I'm the CEO of whatever, Anthem, then you think, well, gee, that must be a driver. It could be something different.
I think a lot of what you describe as analytical goes with driver as well, to some degree. You know, like fact-based and wanting data.
It can, and again, so if you, let's see if we got a better slide here. Here, we can get through these here. We'll come back to some of this. I don't think I have the graph. Look, Pam. We'll go back here. So if you could picture the graph, right? So this is not the way it really is, but we'll make a graph over here. So if this is the graph, and driver's up here, this is analytical, this is amiable, and this is expressive. So across the graph, across here, so you got driver and analytical, these are more similar than if you go diagonally across, right? They're not many driver amiables. In fact, is that almost opposite? See how that works? Okay, and so you might have driver with some expressive tendencies or vice versa, but not likely to have expressive analytical.
Right.
It definitely doesn't work. Okay, everybody get that?
Yep.
All right, so what else on the driver? Let's see if we can go to those notes here and just. So I wrote just the facts, ma'am. What does that mean? So if you're on an appointment with a driver, not necessarily short and simple, but you want to give them a big soliloquy about selling homes in the Richmond metropolitan area.
No.
So I like to use the example of like bullet points like this. They want bip, 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 but really, what is the whole deal here? Does this make sense when we're talking about driver? Bottom line, get it done, right? My big driver tendency, I have something like my assistant Lucy will come in and she'll, and people tell me, I'm like, and here's what I want to say. I'm like, look, I don't care about the storm, just bring the ships in, right? That's a driver statement if there ever was one, right? And is that right or wrong? No, I think it sounds pretty cool though. Okay? And sometimes it's very appropriate. But they're action oriented. They don't want to wait around. Like most drivers, when it's time to go, it's time to go, right? What about amiable? Not necessarily action-oriented. Let's make sure that you feel good. Let's make sure I feel good. If somebody says they want to sleep on it, they're not a driver, right? Probably not expressive either. One time I went to an appointment and they're like, well, we want to sleep on it. I said, that's great. Where do you want me to sleep? Because occasionally you can use humor in some of these things, but some of you guys aren't very funny, so it wouldn't work for you. Okay, so takes charge. So in a situation, they want to be in charge, but they want you to give them the tools to take charge, right? So you need to have a plan. You need to be organized. You need to be ready to go and let them do it. Like we said, results now usually have a confident demeanor, not afraid to confront you. Of the entire scale, who do you think is most likely to confront? The driver. Are they trying to fight or are they just, you never know, but probably not. They want to make sure that you got your act together and they want to make sure they're going to get what they want at the end of the day. Is the driver concerned with your feelings?
No.
No. So some of you probably don't remember. Any of you ever watched like a Mike Ferry video? Mike Ferry is probably the biggest driver that I've ever met. He could not give two poots about your feelings, ever. Okay? And that's just the way he is. That's his personality. And he's very much all these other things, but he's the class. If you want to know what a driver is, watch that. Okay? Last but not least, we have expressive, the parrot. All right? So what are some things about expressives? What do they like to do? Say again? Tell stories. In fact, what's that? I was telling a story. They want to building relationships. Who on the scale is number one at building relationships? Amiable. Who would be number two? Probably expressive. But it probably is less about building relationships. It's more as like, let's feel good about telling stories together. or it's that kind of thing. But yeah, relationships are important too.
Big ideas.
Big ideas.
Yeah, you ask them what time it is, they tell you how to build a watch.
I don't know if that's the best. I know where you're going with that. I think that's more of an analytical kind of analogy to me. I think I know what you're saying. You're going to get, they're like, what time is it? Let me tell you about my watch. All right. This baby here is made in Switzerland. You know, I was just in Switzerland, dude. I'm telling you, man, the Alps. Well, first, we got on this train, and we rode this train through the Alps, and that train was going, but not like Amtrak. I'm talking about going on a train. And you talk about going. You ever jumped out of a damn airplane at 500 miles an hour? That's doing it, man. Here's a picture of me and President Bush when we jumped out of the plane in '82. All right. Who is that? That's the expressive to a T. So is this a characteristic?
Yes.
Why does the expressive have difficulty focusing?
They don't know how to execute half the time.
They don't know how to execute?
They just don't execute. They have big ideas. Dreaming.
They're dreamers and visionaries.
Something, whoa. I mean, it's like squirrel. Yeah. The next shiny object comes down the road, and that takes priority over this. So one thing is, most expressive people, if you know somebody who's great at getting it going and has never finished a project in their life, then they're in this club more than likely. This is the best one, by the way. I will share with you. This is definitely my favorite one. No, there's not one that's better than the other. They all have different things. But this one is fun to talk about because expressive people are fun, right? So let's think about the analytical for a minute, and then this one. And this is really important when you're talking about versatility. This is a big mistake people make and that I make all the time. Because for me, as an expressive, if it feels good, then we're doing it. To an analytical person, if it feels good, what? That has nothing to do with it. Why are we even talking about how we feel? The data has to support it. Okay? You understand that? So see the difference? And then, again, you can see the storytellers. That's the dead giveaway. When you go to a thing and they're telling stories more than likely about themselves or stuff that they've done, that is a dead giveaway. If they're trying to, what kind of difference would the story from the amiable be to the expressive?
The amiable would be listening to your stories and maybe chiming in an anecdote, but the other person would be the primary talker.
And then like it might be, if they're going to tell a story, maybe it's about their family.
Or buddy.
Probably not
Or buddy of mine.
a buddy. It's probably family more than buddy. Because buddy's going to morph into, and then we went to the bar, and then this happened, and whatever else. But family and friends too, I guess, is fine. Okay, so that's expressive. Everybody sort of get the idea where we're talking about. So does anybody, based on where you scored yourself on the grid, have a challenge? Do you think maybe you're not in the right, you didn't score yourself right?
Oh, I'm a parent.
All right. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts here when we're talking about, let's see here, when we're talking about crossing the line here. Let's go back to the, all right, so amiable. We talked about leaving some time, right? If there's one, which group do you want to have a 30-minute appointment with, and which one do you want to leave more open?
30 minutes for the grizzly.
30 minutes would be, and should you tell the grizzly that up front?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, grizzly's got a schedule. That's you're helping the grizzly out by telling him how long it's going to take, right? Well, how do you think the amiable feels if it's only going if you tell them, hey, it's going to take, even if you said I'm going to give you an hour?
Is that all we get?
Yeah. You don't know how that makes me feel. You don't know what I need. How can you tell me how long it's going to take? Right? All right. Working as a team. Is that important?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody feels good and all that kind of stuff. All right. We already talked about this. Don't rush. Don't tap on your watch. Don't, get up and leave in the middle of the appointment.
Don't answer your phone.
Yeah, exactly right. And then don't turn down refreshments. All right, so what do you think the amiable, who is most turned off by the amiable? The driver, because remember, the amiable is down here and the driver's up there. So we're going across the grid. What does the driver hate the most about the amiable? What would a driver say if you're a super driver and amiable's at your house talking about selling your house? What is the driver going to be? What are they thinking? Give me a bottle of wine. Let's get this over with. Get the hell out of my house. What else?
Just tell me what you think it'll.
Yeah. Why do you care how many kids I have? Yeah. Who knows? I mean, they're not. Let's get to the point. You're here to talk about selling my house, and we're talking about your pets or my pets. No, thank you. Okay. What might you see that would tip you off that somebody is amiable? If you walk into their house, let's say you're going on a listing appointment, and you walk into their house, or you're going to their house for a buyer, something. Pictures of what? Family stuff mostly, right? How about plants? If a house is, would you say amiable was more likely to be not over the top, but lots of stuff versus sparse? Definitely. Definitely. How do amiable people dress? This is not always, but how do they normally dress? More casual, comfortable. Remember, the whole thing's about comfortable a lot of times. Furniture is going to be comfortable. You're not going to see where's that expensive place over here at this mall where you get, that kind of stuff. You probably won't see that in amiable deal. Lazy boys and stuff like that, or maybe stuff from the family heirlooms might be in the house. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we talked about all that kind of stuff. All right, we didn't really mention be on time. I think being on time is probably good for everybody. The driver and the analytical, I would say, most important. Who's the most likely to not be on time? Expressive. Why?
Because they're all over the place.
Didn't have a chance to look at my watch when I was telling that story. All right. Bonding. Is it, let's say, on the rank from 1 to 4, who's the most important to bond with? Then who? Then who? I would say those two maybe tie. You just got to sort of feel it out. And again, are you going to run into somebody who's a perfect 100% analytical? You can. They may lean, just like you guys, you may be close to the line, and so you just got to feel that out. When the tendency, this is a very important point too, this is probably the second most point about being versatile. The tendency for so many of us, me included, is when I sense a little bit of pushback and a lack of that connection, what do you think the tendency for most of us to do is? Rather than to be versatile, what do? We double down on who we are. So if you haven't liked my expressive ass up to this point, wait till you hear this story. I'm gonna blow you away. The kangaroo story never fails. You're getting that tonight, okay? Or you're gonna here we come with more. I mean, the person's like looking out the window and turn on the TV, and you're like, well, hey, I have this whole briefcase full of charts and graphs. Let's look at some more of these. Okay, that doesn't work. So when you sense the connection is fading, that's the time to maybe think about being more versatile, right? So there's just some things. So don't be disorganized. Opinion. Remember, feelings, opinion doesn't add up. Okay, so if you say, so how do you feel about that? That's a word you probably don't want to use with these folks. And then why do you not want to have deadlines or maybe be pushy and try to do something right away when you're talking about analytical folks?
They're going to have to figure it out.
They got to go through the data. I mean, I got to make some, what is that stuff that you use? Spreadsheets. Yeah, got to do all that. Yeah, so that's another dead giveaway. Like if somebody has, if they are writing on a note, well, not always, but if they have a spreadsheet thing, what club are they definitely not in? Expressive. Yeah, okay. So there you go. All right, moving right along. All right, we talked about that. So driver, what might be a giveaway for when you go into a driver's house? How does it differ from the amiable?
Minimalistic.
What about style? Yeah, is it going to be cozy?
No.
Who's cozy? Amiable, very cozy. Most drivers would tend to be on the more well-dressed side of things. Meaning not excessive, like not flamboyant. Can you say flamboyant today? But maybe that's not the. But when I wrote that word, I meant like it's sort of like Pottery Barn-esque. It's minimal. Not comfort is not really part of it as much as style, and everything has a place. Who would be the most likely to have the latest and greatest of everything? Car, watch, clothing. Probably. I think some of that stuff is sort of important here, but not as so much for me to tell you about it, right? This person might have a Rolex, but that ain't gonna be the first thing we talk about when they come in the door, right? And who tell me again who the driver really has trouble with? Amiable. What about the expressive? Probably doesn't. Well, the driver. I'm asking about the driver. Why does the driver? What gets the driver about the expressive?
They're all over the place.
Yeah, we got to get to the point at some point, and maybe some of that stuff you're talking about is interesting. We still need to get to the point, and then does it all? Is there a logical way to get there? Probably not. Okay. This is pretty interesting. So with drivers, these people are leaders, so pointing them out, giving them options, and saying, after you look at this, what do you think is the best route we attack? I think these are good options. What's the best way to go? So they've made the decision so they want to lead versus being led. Some of the others want you to lead. So clear and to the point. Don't tell a lot of stories, a lot of excessive details. And then do they want a tremendous amount of data? Do they need something? Probably need something. It's not all about emotion. They need something. All right. We talked about expressive. All right. This is a good couple things here. And I know this one the best because this is me. All right. Anybody ever seen my desk?
Well, what you can see of it.
Yeah, I've never seen the desk, but I've seen the stuff on the desk. So someone who has a meticulously kept desk is not this. Never. Okay? Who would have the most neat in appearance of everything that they're rocking from what we've seen? Driver. Yep. Latest and greatest. So when you think about photos, we talked about amiable. When you go to amiable house, who's in the pictures? Family, and people are hugging and loving and whatever. Expressive, what are the pictures of? Accomplishments, excitement. Some people are like celebrities. You know, this me and like George Clooney and me and President whoever, and this is me jumping out of an airplane and whatever else. So that's the expressive. All right, so I have these pictures. Well, I'm going the wrong way. Computer skills. All right, so here's some pictures. I have some new ones too. These are from last time. So who knows Pam Wood? Personality type? Bingo. That's Hank Lowry. Sometimes it just comes to me. Okay, that's not Hank Lowry. Albert Einstein. He is analytical. Why? Because I heard he did some science. All right, who's that? President Trump. What is he? I would probably say driver. You could go with expressive. Yeah, not afraid. I mean, he's a lot of things. We'll just leave that one alone. All right, who are these guys? Which one? Who's the driver?
Driver, party carrier.
I would say expressive for Sean too.
Definitely Sean is expressive. Definitely Sean's expressive. Mike and I disagree on what Mike is. Mike, who thinks Mike's a driver? All right, remember, if you are the leader of the team or if you're the president of an organization and your role is to be the leader, then you're perceived as a leader. So what are some things, Mike, what are some things that would make me think that you're expressive?
Well, I'm so confused at this point. I've got like pictures of my kids all over the wall.
Okay, but that's okay.
I mean, well, you said that's amiable.
That's how I would see him. You can be a leader and be amiable.
Sure you can. You can be a leader and be any of these things.
And I love charts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to change my answer.
We change your answer to what?
Change my answer.
To on Mike?
Mike's a parrot. Yeah.
Parrot. That's what I think. But it's again, there's some. This is not exact science. So there's some people that even can jump across the grid where you'd never think that was possible, and Mike probably does that. You know, Mike loves to tell a story. I mean, would you say Mike is on point at all times? No, and what makes him great is that his periphery is so big that he doesn't miss any opportunities. Now, he might forget about the opportunity that he just took advantage of to go to this one, you know, and that's just the nature of it. So I would say that he's pretty versatile in that way. So what is Mike not?
Analytical.
Yeah, I don't think he's analytical. He says he likes charts. Have you ever made one? Benjamin made a chart. You see the chart? Let's make a hand for the chart. Yeah, that's a mixture between nursery school and something. But amiable wannabe. Analytical wannabe. Okay, so let's bring it into more modern times. How many of you have been watching a great show called Landman? Yeah. Landman. Nope. Anybody else ever seen that? All right, get a life. Television, you know, you turn it on, sit down, you watch it. It's pretty cool. Pretty funny. So any of you who have not seen Landman, have you ever heard of Landman? No. Never heard of Landman. I thought this was going to bring the house down. Okay.
Which one is non-observant to what's going on?
I don't know. Anyway, it's a really neat show. So basically, there's some characters on Landman. If you're not watching Landman, you can go back to this. All right, so in Landman, who is expressive? Angela. Off the charts expressive. In some ways. But what else is she? Other guys, Craig. What other personality traits does she exhibit?
Amiable.
Amiable. Think about the dinner party. Think about, so she has the dinner and she has these visions of how great everything is going to be and wants everybody to love it and wants them to come home and do all this, and that just ain't happening. She had jambalaya.
It's on Paramount.
What was it supposed to be? What is it? Paella. Yeah. Yeah. It's a funny show. So anyway, Angela is his ex-wife, and they get back together, and she just wants everything to be like picture perfect. But so she's sort of got some expressive as well as amiable tendencies. All right. How about Tommy? Tommy is the landman. He's the guy. What is Tommy? He's a driver. I mean, he's 100% driver. All right. How about? I was trying to think of who is the analytical. Yeah, the boy is amiable. What about Nate? You remember Nate? What does Angela call Nate? Nick or something? The lawyer that lives in the house. He is 100% analytical. And then what about the girl Ainsley?
Yeah.
Sort of a slut. I don't know what she's sort of. I think she's amiable to the boys on the football team. So anyway, we don't need to talk anymore about that. So any questions about any of this? Any questions about any of this? Let's get their pictures off here. So how do you use it? How then do you take any of this information and apply this to help you sell more houses? First, you need to pre-qualify who you're dealing with, and when I say pre-qualify, that doesn't just mean I'm seeing if they have any money or whatever. I'm going to try to listen and let them tell me a little bit about their personalities, right? So when you have a phone conversation, when you get an introduction from a friend or you meet somebody at an open house, you're trying to pick up whatever you can and then trying to slide in. You don't want to, if you're expressive, you're not going to become analytical overnight. So don't try to fake it so hard, yet you don't need to bomb them with expressiveness if they're analytical. How else can you use this?
I think when you started off this class, you talked about being versatile. So understanding somebody's, behaviors, and you can adapt to a degree so you can match, mirror match.
Exactly right. And so you even with your current clients and past clients and spouse and whatever else, it might help you have better interactions with them if you can do this. Here's a little bit of some dangers that are out there. Many cases you have two people that you're working with in real estate, usually husband and wife. Are they always the same personality type? In fact, most times are they the same personality type? Usually not. Isn't that interesting? So how do you deal with that?
Trying to figure out who the dominant one is.
Yeah, you drink a lot. I guess you sort of have to, in one way you can address each one their own way. If you can figure out what they are, then maybe you want to try to avoid the pitfalls for both of them and just stay away from, the real bad stuff that would really get either one off the deep end. And it is funny. What's that?
I like clarify. If you confirm something with one personality type, you ask the question a different way here.
Yeah. And you got to be careful. So if you're expressive and the wife is expressive and all of a sudden you've driven around for 4 hours and you've told 16,000 stories and the husband hadn't said a word, or you feel like you're getting in the moat with that dude? Probably not. Probably not. So you just have to be careful. How many of you have a significant other? And how many of you think the significant other is the same? Think about your personality type and what your significant other is. Any of them the same? I don't really. I know my wife is probably amiable. I would think. I don't know. Anybody remember? So you never know. All right. Any question about this? How long are we going? Perfect. 1 hour. Thank you very much. Get after it.